Wake Up with Jim and Sab is exclusively on Spotify.
And if you want to start your own podcast, you can check out anchor.fm.
If you love the pod and you want to support us, make sure you follow us on Spotify.
Sumaludo sa harap ng bandila, Kastila, kabang umaalipin sa alila, sinakop ng puti ang mga kayumangge.
Welcome to Wake Up with Jim and Sab podcast.
Hey, it's October 4. Today's my dad's birthday, by the way.
Happy birthday.
He would have been 57 years old, and I wanted to celebrate him by dedicating this episode to him. Yes. He has been gone for 12 years, and I really wish I could have had more conversations with him, especially now that I'm older. But he may not physically be here anymore, pero alam kong he will live forever, hence the title of this episode, Francis M. Forever, because he has his music and his family as his legacy. And I'll always have a part of him in me, and that's why today's episode will be all about the things that I learned from him.
Aww.
Yes, it's a listicle. It's going to be a listicle. It's the 5 things that I learned from my dad, Francis M.
Love it. Okay, I'm gonna shut up.
Okay, so the first thing that I think I learned from him is to never stop playing. Because, in terms of video games, he was very into video games and basketball and all the things that he enjoyed doing. Parang ang dami niyang hobbies, and he just liked playing. He liked having fun.
Can I ask questions?
Sure.
Was he a noisy player or parang...
No, he was a nail biter. Like you.
Okay.
Sobra. As in, he would bite his nails. And from what I remember, I was trying to remember his favorite video games. And off the top of my head, I could remember Resident Evil, also known as Biohazard. When it first came out, diba? Biohazard.
Kung Hong Kong version yung PlayStation.
Yes. Sobrang... I would just be quiet beside him, watching him play. And I'd cover my eyes, and I really shouldn't have been in the same room as he was playing, because it was very scary. Like, parang I will always remember the door creaks and the zombies lying on the floor and then suddenly grabbing the legs of the player.
Actually, kakaiba dun. Nalala mo, parang that was a big deal kasi yung intro of Resident Evil or Biohazard. It was a movie, diba? Movie sequence. Like, remember that? It was like
Yes.
sa grass or
Yes.
something. That's my dog.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes. Yeah. So Resident Evil, I would always be beside him. When I would not watch him was if he was playing golf. He'd play golf. I think Wii.
Tiger Woods.
Wii eh.
Wii.
Wii ba or Tiger Woods? Probably.
May ganito,
probably both.
yung
May parang wind pa.
Yeah.
Sobrang,
Ayun.
I was like, God, this is so boring.
I got hooked on that also.
So yeah, he was into that game, and meron siyang mga, of course, there's NBA Live, and then later on 2K. And I think it was
Nag-Dreamcast ba kayo?
Oh, for sure. Yes, I'm gonna get to that.
Okay,
He
okay.
was into weird video games. So he got obsessed with this video game called Seaman. It was in 1999. Yes, I looked it up. Because I was like, there's this game that he was crazy about. Na it's a creepy looking fish. Para siyang, imagine mo Tamagotchi, pero 3D. Parang for that time, it was very high tech.
pretty.
Yes, it was, whoa. It was a virtual pet game.
Okay.
Tapos it was a fish na may face ng human.
Okay.
Tapos it was so weird and creepy. Sega Dreamcast to. Tapos it was the first game ata, not the first game probably, but it took advantage of the microphone function na you can talk to that pet.
May ganun ba ang
And tell it
Dreamcast?
what to do, yes. Tapos, parang, I remember kasi kung bakit ito yung nag-stick sa akin is because he would tell us parang nobody touch the TV or the game kasi you have to leave it on for the fish to
To live.
to grow. Yeah, so look it up. It's a weird game. Probably Japanese.
FYI, if for all our Gen Zers out there, before, ang Dreamcast was before PlayStation 2. Tama?
Maybe, probably.
Something like that. So
Yeah.
parang nagkaroon ng, in terms of consoles, parang after PlayStation 1, medyo nagka-dedox
Yes.
ng mga bagong release.
Yes.
May lumabas na Sega. It was their, I think, yun yung last attempt nila
Dreamcast.
eh. Oh,
Yeah.
Dreamcast. And it was so kakaiba and like us, everyone thought na, oh no, this is gonna revolutionize everything.
Yeah.
Ito na, let's do Dreamcast.
Yes.
The first NBA 2K with that level of graphics was on Dreamcast.
Oh.
Everyone kasi was still playing NBA Live on
Yes.
Sega or Sega, PlayStation 1 or whatever. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So there's that. And because I remember he would have, I think he had like all the game consoles at the time. And that's something that stuck with me. That's why, I'm into video games. I get really into it. I like playing. And I think that's a good lesson to have, right? Like a good rule to play by. Tama ba?
Basically,
Right? Just
there's no age limit.
enjoy. Yes, just play.
For
Keep
stuff
playing.
that makes you happy.
Yes. So that's the first lesson I learned from him. And then, there was also this game rin pala. And I don't know if you know this. It's called Mr. Mosquito. That's PlayStation. I told you he's into weird games. He likes discovering games. And there's this game na parang you are the mosquito. It's definitely Japanese for sure. Kasi parang Japanese yung graphics. Tapos you are the mosquito and then you try to land on the human and suck the blood. So that was fun. Okay. The next lesson that I learned from him is to keep exploring.
Okay.
I think that's why I'm the way I am. I have gone through so many parang titles, labels, slashes, right? And for some people and for a time in my life, I thought that it was a bad thing. Na parang jack of all trades, master of none. Parang ganun. Pero wala eh. I think I got it from him eh. He liked exploring. He started out as a break dancer and then he became a rapper and then an actor and then a host. And then he got into photography and kinareer niya yun. He was part of the Camera Club of the Philippines. And then he got into cooking, like obsessed level of cooking. He would call it Pop's Pizza, looking for the best recipe.
And when you say obsessed, hindi not on a normal level of cooking talaga.
Not
As in
on a
talagang,
normal level.
oh?
Yes, because, that's...
I mean, like, what do you mean? He would cook all the meals at home?
For
For a time.
For a time. And parang yung whole day niya, i-move niya around.
To cook.
Yes.
And he'd fall so in love with it.
Yes. Medyo exag.
Okay.
But he did, he explored these different passions and that's something. I mean, I think kailangan i-temper mo rin naman yun. But I think that's a good lesson. Keep exploring. Right? And the third lesson that I learned from him is to make your children laugh.
Oh?
I think that's something that I learned from him. Whenever some people, some adults, some new parents, when you're with your kid, then you're just like, oh gosh, I don't know what to do. Just make them laugh. Try to make them laugh. And then everything's gonna be fine. Just try. And then in trying that, parang the natural bond will happen because nga you're trying to make them laugh and that means you're trying to parang hinahanap mo yung kiliti nila, diba? And I remember parang if there's nothing you do in this life, if you make your kids laugh, you will be remembered forever.
Aw, ganda naman.
Because that's what I remember a lot, the moments that he made me laugh. And that's why I'm the same with my kids. And I love it when you make the kids laugh.
So sweet.
Can you talk for a bit? Because I'm kind of tearing up here.
Pero ang ganda, Sabi.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah. My mom would call him Francis anything for a laugh Magalona because parang he would go to extremes to make us laugh. And that was really fun.
Like, what was the funniest thing? Like, parang ano yung mga naalala mo na?
Sometimes you wouldn't even try. And it's a lot of like fart jokes and a lot of what do you call it? Impressions of actors and stuff.
Ako favorite ko talaga whenever you make, pag kinukwento mo na si mom would say like,
France. Yes. Yes. So there.
Ano yung pinarinig niyo sa inyo na, which one? Hit 'em up?
Hit him up. Yeah.
Ni Tupac?
Yeah. We were in college na.
College na.
We were in college na.
Okay.
But it was funny. Okay, sige, kukwento ko na lang yan. Max and I, we celebrate the same birthday, right? So it was our first time to throw a party. First time ever. We threw a party together. We were in college and then, oh my gosh, Jim, you were there.
Yeah.
Is the parang Gossip Girl themed party. It's the first, as in, we never have parties ever in our whole life. And not me. Mostly it was Max who planned it because she's into that stuff. And then as we were getting ready for the party, parang, because Max hired like a makeup artist, which was her friend. We were getting our makeup done, and then my dad was in the background, playing Tupac's "Hit 'Em Up." And then it was just so funny because we're like two girls in our like Gossip Girl dresses, getting our makeup done, and then the lyrics were like very explicit. And then my mom was like, "France, the music." And then he's like, "Why? Oh, I party." So there, that's a funny moment. The next thing, the fourth lesson is to be kind to everyone. Because if you knew my dad, I'm sure you would have had like a nice story to tell. Because everyone that I encounter, laging meron silang kwento about when they met my dad. My favorites include, Diego Castillo's stories. Si Diego is our friend, guitar player ng
Dad of
Sandwich.
Elvis.
Dad of Elvis Castillo, our godson. Yes, he's our good friend. But back then, of course, we didn't know each other. He wasn't part of Sandwich yet. He was parang intern pa lang ata siya sa MTV. And then, but basically when Diego tells his story, he always says, I was a nobody. He always says that. I was a nobody, and sinabi niya parang, favorite kwento ko is, parang he and my dad had a conversation, may sinabi siyang something about a band. And then parang months later, my dad went out of the country, and then when he flew back, he had a vinyl record and gave it to Diego of that band that Diego mentioned once. And then Diego's like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know like who does that. And then meron pang before when Diego wasn't as prominent as he is in the music scene, he had this band called the Agamulak Experience. And then he just mentioned it to my dad na parang, may gig kami mamaya. And then my dad actually showed up. And at the time, my dad was like Francis M. As in, he was like big rock star. And then he went to this small club where Diego's band played, and parang it was like the biggest deal. And Diego just told me na parang that's how he knows my dad was like a real G. A real good guy.
Yeah, even our friends, like if I can share, no, parang I feel it nararamdaman ko whenever we talk to our friends in the music scene. Anyone who has encountered him, always parang he parang, I guess he made them feel like they were special. Parang ganon. Alam mo yun, na parang ang bait-bait talaga nito. Parang ganon yung lagi napapaisip.
Yeah.
Diba, I remember like yung kwento ni Jigger. So our friend Jigger has a label called Lockdown Entertainment. And before they had, parang ang kwento niya sa akin is like, parang early days pa of lockdown and hip-hop, the hip-hop scene isn't what it is today. And he invited your dad. And he was so shocked na parang your dad was waiting daw in the, di pa uso ang sagiho. Your dad and mom were in the car lang daw. And then biglang nagulat sila na he arrived.
Oh yeah, I was there.
You were
I was
there.
there. I watched him. Yes, he sang for, yun nga parang, kumbaga my dad was at that time na, the Francis M's wouldn't perform in Sagiho. You know, yung ganun pa yung Sagiho. Parang, basta it was pretty fun. And what I liked is, yun nga parang, what stuck to me lang was, he isn't kind to quote unquote important people. Hindi niya pinipili. That's why whenever I work for, meron akong shoots and stuff, ang daming cameramen who go up to me and say, nakatrabaho na rin yung dad ko, and meron silang laging nice anecdote, and that's really, that's a good reminder to, don't be shitty. Diba? So that's a good one. And another kwento that I'll never forget is one from Doc Gap, who is the neurosurgeon of Pancho, who saved Pancho's life. He did brain surgery on Pancho when he was just, a week old. And this guy, he is the president of PGH. He's the head of PGH. So we were looking for a surgeon. Basically, imagine I was kind of drugged up because I had a near death experience.
You were just released from the ICU.
I had no idea what was going on. I was being told that my son was going to get into surgery, was going to go get surgery. And then, so we were looking for surgeons, and then parang, wala naman akong, especially kung wala ka namang alam sa medical world, diba? I didn't know who Doc Gap was. But then,
but prior to that, remember, we were stuck with two options. Parang, we tried two different doctors, and the doctors were both very negative and very saying either we do a procedure that would that's fatal, or he becomes a vegetable. Ganun lang.
Yes.
Puro yun lang yung choices namin.
Yes.
And then yun.
And then when we met Doc Gap, he was just I think everything turned from there.
Yeah.
He really lifted our spirits, and I think we should save this for another episode, but basically he was so kind to us. And then he told me the reason why he really wanted to do this surgery was because he worked with my dad. And my dad would always perform at PGH for free and wouldn't want to charge anything. And parang to me that was oh God, I'm in the hospital. I feel like my dad is giving me this gift. Now there's this doctor who is telling me there's a chance for my son, and it was Doc Gap. And I think that's the reason why things happened the way they did, and parang why my dad performed for free, and because he was so kind, it was so that this doctor would later on be able to save my child's life. And it was just
his grandson.
Yes, exactly. So yun, that's one of the lessons. It's to be kind to everyone, and to give back. And that's what he did when he would perform for free at PGH. And then, of course, the last one is the last lesson I learned from my dad is that art can change the world. I think, he loved his country so much. His greatest hit, Mga Kababayan Ko, and then his other songs, 3 Stars in a Sun, 1-800-96, Peace on Earth, very relevant songs until today. And these songs inspired so many of his peers, and even until now, this next generation, when they hear his songs, it also inspires change in them. And that's why I think he will really live on through his music. And not just his music, but also his values will live on. And I think, that's why I'm here today on this podcast. It's because this is our art. This is our form of art, aside from our other projects. And, there will always be people who will say, sikat ka lang dahil sa tatay mo. I've gotten those comments before, and it really hurt before. Lalo na kasi I thought it was a curse. And, the the unwanted attention that I would get in school, especially when I was in grade school and high school. And then parang there was this unwarranted pressure in to keep proving myself na parang I'm not getting these things because I'm my dad's child. It's because of my own thing. Parang lagi ako may ganun na parang, wait, are they being nice to me because they like my dad? Lagi ako may ganun na parang, wait, kaya ba ako pinapa ganito? Basta lagi may ganung questioning. Lagi ako may self-doubt because of that. And it's only today, after I've learned to let go of these insecurities and realize that it's actually been his gift to me all this time, na I have this platform today, and I always want to keep aiming to use it for good just as he did. And there, I think that sums it up. Those are the things that I learned from my dad.
Oh, you know what?
What?
Yung maganda dun, like, with what you said, parang it's so easy kasi for people to think, like, what a marvelous legacy, diba? Like, ito naman. I mean, like, you inspired millions of Filipinos with your music and your art. Pero, honestly, what really, parang, yung tumama sa akin, has been, like, yung legacy mo nga of being a kind person and, like, letting people know that their time is valuable and you can devote your time to them.
Yeah.
Wala lang. And parang inspired tuloy lang ako.
Yeah. So, Pop, happy birthday. And you will live forever. Love you.